Hey, hey, what is up, stay-at-homies? I hope you had a fantastic weekend and are ready for a little project with me today. So I was thinking, since everybody's been spending so much time at home, and I know a lot of people have been doing things like playing games and doing puzzles and that sort of thing, which is great. But once you've done all of the puzzles that you already have, you've already done them. So it's kind of nice to have something new, but to not have to spend money on it. So I was thinking, why don't we make a puzzle? Now, if you make a puzzle, it won't be very hard for you to put it back together probably, but you could challenge somebody in your family to put it together. Maybe somebody else in your family could also make a puzzle and then you could switch. So lots of things you can do. So what you'll need a piece of paper. Now I'm going to use paper that's a little bit thicker than what I usually use. Normally I just use like white printer paper. This is called cardstock, so it's just a little bit thicker. And I'm also going to be using some recycled cardboard. This is the same pizza box. I don't eat that much pizza, usually. I'm actually going to glue my picture onto this cardboard just to make it a little bit sturdier so that the pieces don't get ripped or crumpled up or anything like that. I'm going to, of course, be drawing and coloring a picture of some kind, so I've got some supplies ready for that, as well as supplies ready to get the whole puzzle put together. So grab what you need, meet me back here, and we'll get started. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is decide what kind of picture you want your puzzle to be of. It really could be anything at all. You could draw pictures of people or animals or some kind of interesting design. I was thinking for mine, I might do some music notes or maybe some flowers. I don't know, I'm just sort of thinking about things that I like to draw. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so it might be a little tricky to see on the video because I just did my rough draft in pencil, just so that if I made a mistake or I decided I didn't like something, then I have the opportunity to erase it and try again. So I'm pretty happy with what I've got here. It's sort of like a rainbow with music notes, so it's like the 5 lines of the staff and the treble clef at the beginning, and I just drew in some random quarter notes and different lines and spaces. And then I've got a little bit of a scene at the bottom with I'll have some grass, and then I've got a sunset. So my next step, of course, will be to color this in, and I'm also going to do an outline around everything as well. All right, so there is my picture. I had a little bit of trouble with my marker. Had to go find another one, but that's my colored picture. So now my next step is going to be to glue my picture to my cardboard. Now, it might seem natural for me to glue the picture onto this side, but then people could actually use the back as a clue to put the puzzle together, and we really want people to just have to figure the picture out and not have another way, like, oh, I'm going to figure out how to put pepperoni, the word pepperoni together, and the word thin and the word crispy together. So I'm going to glue my picture onto this side of the cardboard so that this is the back. Notice that I put glue all over the entire back of this picture. Normally, when you're gluing things together, depending on why you're gluing them together, you might not need to put glue everywhere. But keep in mind, we are going to be cutting this apart into puzzle pieces. So if I just put glue around the edge of my picture, for example, then when I'm cutting it into pieces, it would come right off of the cardboard backing. So it is really important that you use lots of glue, really smooth it down really, really well. And before we do the next step, which will be cutting it into our puzzle pieces, you need to leave the glue to dry. So I'm going to do that. So we'll see in a little bit. All right, so I left my picture to dry for a while. The glue, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't still kind of like sticky. I wanted to harden up a little bit so that when I cut this into pieces, it's not coming apart or making a mess. So I'm going to start by just trimming off the extra cardboard around the edge. All right, so now my picture is nice and strong. I used that thicker paper and now I've glued it onto cardboard and it's ready to be cut into puzzle pieces. Now, the thing to keep in mind is the smaller I make my puzzle pieces, the more challenging the puzzle will be to put together. So you might want to think about who you are making this for. If you want maybe an adult in your house to give this a try, you might want to make the pieces a bit smaller so that it's more of a challenge. If you have maybe a younger sibling that you want to make this for, and maybe they're really little still, you might want to make the pieces a bit bigger. So it just depends. I think I'll make mine kind of in between, not too challenging, not too easy. So my pieces will be kind of medium sized. What I'm going to do, instead of just randomly cutting, I am going to draw just lightly with pencil on the back the shape that I want my puzzle pieces to be. Now I'm just kind of drawing some wavy lines. I'm going to do them across this way, and then I'll do some more wavy lines across this way. I don't want to make my pieces into super crazy shapes because I still have to be able to cut them out. And if I make them really crazy with all kinds of, intricate little curves and corners and things like that, it's going to be very challenging for me to cut out. So I'm going to just keep going with my wavy lines. All right, so that's kind of my first step. Now I am going to add some more wavy lines going across this way, and that will give me the shape of my puzzle pieces. Now, however many lines I decide to do across will determine how many pieces I have and how big the pieces are. So for example, if I only did one line across the middle, I would end up with longer, narrower pieces, and I wouldn't have as many of them. Maybe I want to do 2 different wavy lines going across, which would divide each section into 3. Maybe I want to do 4. It just, again, it depends how many pieces you want and how challenging you want your puzzle to be. So I think I'm going to divide each of these sections into 3. So that means I only need to do 2 wavy lines going across. So now I know what shape my puzzle pieces will actually become, and all I have left to do is to cut them out. My hand is getting tired. Okay, I'm good now. There you go. That's how you make your very own puzzle. So again, it was not too tricky for me to put it together because I made it, so, a little bit easier. When you're finished with the puzzle, instead of just, leaving it laying around for the pieces to get ruined or lost, gather them all together, put them in a Ziploc bag, and maybe put a little note inside saying how many pieces there are so that, you can kind of check and make sure. It's sort of like when you have a puzzle from the store, the box will say how many pieces is in the puzzle. So just kind of a way to keep things tidy and organized. And like I said, it might be kind of fun for you and other members of your family to all make a puzzle and then challenge each other. So have some fun with it. Feel free to email me, send me a photo of your puzzle when you're finished if you decide to make one. The cats are lurking, but I don't know if we get a hello today. Let me just check. You could say hello to the stay-at-homies. Say hi. Aw, Molly. Okay, well, that's it for us. Till next time, be brave, be kind, and wash your hands. Bye.